Hello, grade 11 learners. This is your general mathematics session. I am Teacher Ellie, and it's nice to see you here on Tele Math Aralan. Majority of the problems we encounter in real-life situation involve relationship between two quantities, where one quantity depends on another. For example, a personnel in the Department of Health observes the number of persons infected by a particular virus in a certain community increases with time. In finding the exact function relating to the number of persons to time, modeling can be used. Once the model is determined, solving and predicting the properties of the subjects being studied can be done. In this session, you will focus on solving in order for you to predict answer to existing problems. This session will help you solve problems using functions, bearing in mind that you already know how to represent real-life problems using functions, including piecewise functions, and perform operations on functions. You are expected to represent situations as functions and evaluate functions to determine the required quantity. Apply concepts learned in solving real-life problems involving functions and solve problems involving functions.
Let's travel. You will now solve problems involving functions, and let's start by analyzing this problem. A proposed light rail transit system line 1 or LRT1 fare would charge 18 pesos for the first 4 stations and 5 pesos for each additional station over the proposed fare. Find the fare function f of x, where x represents the number of stations traveled, and find the proposed fare for 15 and 20 stations. To solve problems that involve functions, you can employ the George-Polya's 4-step rule. The 4-step rule of George-Polya starts with explore. This step involves careful reading, analyzing, identifying the given and unknown facts in the problem, and expressing the unknown in terms of variables. Second step, plan. In this step, writing an equation that describes the relationship between or among the variables is involved. Third, solve. This step requires working out with the written equation and other number relations to determine the required quantities that answer the question in the problem. And last, check. The final step that employs the use of other approaches to examine the appropriateness of the answer. Let us now solve our first problem. A proposed light rail transit system line 1 or LRT1 fare would charge 18 pesos for the first 4 stations and 5 pesos for each additional station over the proposed fare. Find the fare function f of x, where x represents the number of stations traveled, and find the proposed fare for 15 and 20 stations. Let us solve this problem using the 4-step rule of George-Polya. Let us explore the problem. Since the first step involves analysis and proper labeling of the known and unknown facts, we will let x be the number of stations traveled. There are also some conditions that was set in the problem, such as the cost of fare, which is set up to 4 stations only. Thus, we can represent x minus 4 be the number of stations traveled over and above 4 stations. Plan. In writing an equation that will represent the relationship between the known and unknown quantities, since we know that if we traveled up to 4 stations, we must pay 18 pesos, we can represent it as f of x is equal to 18 for x is greater than 0 but less than or equal to 4. However, if we traveled more than 4 stations, the cost of the fare have different method of computation, so we need to consider it. Since the cost of every station after the 4th station is 5 pesos, we will now obtain f of x is equal to 18 plus 5 times x minus 4. We will simplify that equation, and it will lead us to f of x is equal to 18 plus 5x minus 20, and it will become f of x is equal to 5x minus 2. At this point, we can say that the fare function is f of x is equal to 5x minus 2. So, to find the fare charge for 15 stations, the fare function f of x is equal to 5x minus 2 will be used, and 15 will be substituted to the function. It will become f of 15 is equal to 5x minus 2. Substituting x to 15, it will become 5 times 15 minus 2. 5 times 15 is 75. 75 minus 2, the answer is 73. By evaluating the function, we obtained f of 15 is equal to 73. Thus, the proposed fare for 15 station travel is 73 pesos. To find the fare charge for 20 stations, the fare function f of x is equal to 5x minus 2 will be used and 20 will be substituted to the function. It will become f of 20 is equal to 5x minus 2. Substituting 20 to x, it will become 5 times 20 minus 2. 5 times 20 is 100 minus 2, the answer is 98. By evaluating the function, we obtain f of 20 is equal to 98. Thus, the proposed fare for 20 station travel is 98 pesos. Binge watch. Let's have another example. Romblon Cable Network charges 370 pesos for monthly cable connection fee plus 130 pesos for each hour of pay-per-view or PPV event, regardless of a full hour or a fraction of an hour. Find the payment function f of x, where x represents the number of PPV hours. What is the monthly bill of a customer who watched 25 hours of PPV events? How about 0.5 hours of PPV events? Solution: 370 pesos is the fixed monthly cable fee. Let x be the number of PPV hours in a month. 130 pesos x be the amount of PPV payment in a specific hour. Therefore, the payment function will be f of x is equal to 370 plus 130x. The monthly bill of a customer who watched 25 hours PPV events can be represented by x is greater than 24 but less than or equal to 25. Using our payment function, f of x is equal to 370 plus 130x. By evaluating function, it will become f of 25 is equal to 370 plus 130 times 25 equals 370 plus 3,250. Therefore, f of 25 is equal to 3,620. The monthly bill of a customer who watched 25 hours of PPV event is 3,620 pesos. The monthly bill of a customer who watched 0.5 hour PPV events can be represented by x is greater than 0 but less than or equal to 1. And since the problem states that regardless of a full hour or a fraction of an hour, the additional charge will be made on hourly basis only. Thus, the value of x will be 1. Using our payment function f of x is equal to 370 plus 130x. By evaluating function f of 1 is equal to 370 plus 130 times 1 equals 370 plus 130. F of 1 is equal to 500. Therefore, the monthly bill of a customer who watched zero point 0.5 hours of PPV event is 500 pesos. DIY. Do it yourself. Try to answer this problem. Hello. A certain cell phone company offers a plan that costs 1,200 pesos per month. The plan includes 180 free minutes of call and charges 7 pesos for each additional minute of usage. Find the monthly cost function C of x, where x represents the number of minutes used. And how much is the monthly cost incurred if the owner use number 1, 180 minutes of call, and number 2, 300 minutes of call. I will give you enough time to solve this problem. Your time starts now. Are you done? Let us check if your answer is correct. The monthly cost function is C of x is equal to 1,200 plus 7x. If the owner used 180 minutes of call, he will only pay 1,200 pesos. If the owner used 300 minutes of call, that means with 120 additional minutes usage, he will pay 2,040 pesos.
Solving problems involving function is essential in predicting values that can be used in decision-making process. This session covered varied situations that can be considered as real-life situations such as travel fares, monthly bills, sales, and the like. I hope that you will find the enthusiasm in solving problems involving functions in the future. Again, I am Teacher Ellie, and see you in the next Telemath Aralan.